When life gives you lemons, as the saying goes, make lemonade. And that is precisely what these Italian businessmen did. In 1966, businessmen Michele Taddi and Renzo Zengiaro established Bottega Veneta in Vicenza, in the northeastern Veneto region of Italy. Bottega Veneta, which translates to Venetian shop. Since its inception, leather goods have been Bottega's main product, and the company is now renowned for its basket weaving process. It may therefore surprise you to learn that this was simply a solution to a technical issue Bottega faced in the beginning, the inability of its sewing machines to operate with the majority of leathers. The needles were too short to handle the thicker leather typically used for handbags and accessories, so the machines were sourced from the nearby Vena region, which was renowned for ready-to-wear clothing. Because they couldn't fuse stronger leathers, Bottega appeared to be at a disadvantage. The obvious solution might have been to purchase additional sewing machines, but Michele and Renzo had another idea in mind. They only used delicate, thin leather after that. However, the bags needed to be tough and resilient. So they divided the leather into strips and diagonally wove them together. This greatly strengthened the finished product. Intrecciato, which means intertwined or braided in Italian, is the name of the weave that has since become synonymous with the Bottega Veneta house. Additionally, Bottega was able to design a distinctive appearance without having to plaster its logo all over its merchandise. The label quickly gained international recognition, but significant changes were still coming. They didn't care about clothing, monograms, or logo mania, and their strategy truly set them apart from competing brands. Their slogan, "Your own initials are enough with it," which was also inspired by this, demonstrated how much they relied on their excellent craftsmanship and materials. While things were going well, Bottega wouldn't be an Italian heritage label if there wasn't a little bit of family drama. Michele and Renzo had established a Bottega Veneta store in Manhattan, New York, by the 1970s. They hoped that the growth would establish them as a global brand. But sadly, their timing was horribly off. Bottega advertised itself as being high-end and discreet. But, especially in America, more and more people wanted eye-catching, vibrant pieces. Bottega's strategy was no longer as appealing. Also, by the late 1970s, they were having financial difficulties. The company was unexpectedly transferred to Renzo's ex-wife, Laura Bragg Modo, after the company's founders, Michele and Renzo, decided to part ways. Together with her second husband, Vittorio Modo, she then assumed control. Although Laura's choice was risky, she thought there was still a chance for things to get better. She would ultimately prove to be correct, which was fortunate for her, but it wouldn't be simple. In the 1980s, celebrities and well-known artists began to take notice of Bottega, and Andy Warhol was undoubtedly one of the brand's biggest supporters. He frequently went to the New York store, and he later made a short film for the company. The popular culture embraced Bottega as well. And American designer Gigolo Brown Bottega later paid homage to that moment by reviving the bag and bringing Hutton out onto the runway in 2018. Lauren Hutton was also seen carrying a brown Bottega clutch at the time. By the end of the 1980s, Bottega was well liked by the wealthy and well-known, but it still had a long way to go in terms of appealing to a larger audience. Additionally, it wasn't any easier during the logo craze of the 1990s. In the 1990s, it seemed like everyone was obsessed with logos, which presented an obvious issue for a brand that distinguished itself by avoiding them. She had been doing that up until that point. High-end leather shoes and bags have been a trademark of Bottega. They created their first ready-to-wear line, and incorporated trend-driven design elements. It allowed them to serve a wider audience while the collection was still high-end, but it soon became obvious that more would be required. They needed more than just a new clothing line. A new creative director was required. Additionally, the young English director Giles Deacon Gow was well known for his extravagant creations. It seemed strange that a rather sober Bottega would challenge him. But Laura knew a complete overhaul was required, so she made the decision to gamble on him. The rumor is that Laura stumbled upon a funny drawing of Abu Ghraib driving a Rolls-Royce in one of Jill's sketchbooks during this decision-making process. With Laura Moto, we had this incredibly unusual meeting. And Laura reached into my bag and pulled out this sketchbook. She couldn't get enough of that particular drawing. And after that, everything was completely fine. Of course, the oddball sketch wasn't what made the difference. Laura hired him after learning that the girl was entertaining her. Gil was given the job of making Bottega cool once more, but he quickly went too far. It became apparent that the new course felt a little flat, and eventually, things deteriorated to the point where Laura was forced to sell a majority stake in Bottega to Gucci in 2001. Gucci did not waste any time after purchasing Bottega in 2001. To carry out their ambitious plans, they hired German designer Thomas Meyer in place of Gil Deakin. The German Black Forest border is where Thomas Meyer was born. When he first arrived at Bottega, business there wasn't going too well. In an effort to make a comeback, it was on the verge of bankruptcy because it had been unable to keep up with 1990s fashion trends. Thomas believed that the business had lost its identity and needed to reclaim it because it had caved into trends and flashy logos. The four guiding principles of Bottega, high-end materials, exceptional craftsmanship, modern functionality, and timeless design, were immediately put into practice. He held off on showcasing a ready-to-wear collection for 4 years, concentrating instead on leather bags and accessories. His initial creation was a tote bag without a logo called the KB. Despite costing $6,000, the bag had been reduced to its essential elements, and despite this, it quickly became Bottega's best-selling item. When Renault's revival became his next task, he started applying it to everything from dog bowls to bracelets. And in doing so, he was able to bring Bottega back to profitability and out of debt. Thomas also established a full-fledged institution for the instruction of leather artisans. The long-needed changes had been made, and the Scuola della Pelletteria was now flourishing. Once more, Thomas had brought it back to its handcrafted, simplistic roots. Additionally, the business's sales in 2012 went over $1 billion. Unfortunately, everything good has to come to an end. Success was immediately followed by several stretches of declining growth. And Thomas' departure was made public following his autumn and winter 2018 performances. Thomas' departure necessitated the search for a replacement for him. Daniel Lee took over in June 2018, just 2 days after Thomas left. Yorkshire, England, served as Daniel Lee's home. He had aspirations of becoming a dancer as a child but discovered that his feet weren't particularly pointy. He ultimately chose to pursue a design degree at the prestigious Central St. Martin's in London, where he also worked as an intern for Mimala and Balenciaga. He worked at Donia Karan and Celine for a short time after graduating before quitting and deciding to take a year off to travel and reflect on his life. His journey was abruptly cut short. But François-Henri Pinault was the one who called. Gucci and Bottega are now both subsidiaries of Kering, after Gucci previously acquired Bottega. Daniel, who was 32 at the time, was prepared to take a year off from the fashion industry, but he only made it as far as Japan. When François-Henri called, he accepted the offer and started working with Daniel right away. Bottega was propelled into the forefront of must-have fashion, and in the blink of an eye, he transformed the brand into an IT bag manufacturing machine. Without using a single logo, his work expanded Bottega's fan base. Bottega Veneta is doing well right now. The Italian luxury fashion house has a market value of close to $4 billion, and has developed into a recognized global brand. The business is renowned for its superb craftsmanship and elegant, timeless designs. Although it has long been praised for its exquisite leather goods. Since November 2021, it has recently risen to the top of the list of luxury brands in the world. Belgian Mathieu Blaise has taken Daniel Lee's place. The billion-dollar brand's first collection, which debuted in February 2022, was an instant hit and felt like a revitalizing beginning to an exciting new era. Which of the following facts was your favorite in this video? Let us know in the comments. Also, don't forget to turn on the notification bell and subscribe for more.